At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
When your therapist won't take your calls anymore, there's always The Last Show with David Cooper.
I think a lot of people treat their feelings as facts, and that's going to be our topic today here on Therapy Thursdays. On a Wednesday, we are joined an expert in family and marital therapy, social worker Gary Direnfeld. But feelings as facts, that's what I want to talk about. If you feel a certain way, some people feel immediately entitled to act based on that feeling, and that isn't always the right call. And we'll talk about that and more with Gary. Gary, welcome to the show.
Great to be with you again, David. I got to tell you, feelings, they look to be anchored. If I have a feeling, there must be a reason for it. And like I said, they look to be anchored. I really learned this. Oh my goodness. It was the 1990s. I was sick as a dog. And I got to tell you, I'm lucky. I have a stable mood. It is, between here and here, never manic, never really depressed, just coasting along nicely. But I was sick. It was early 90s. And I had this sinus infection. I got a medication for it, erythromycin. It's a popular antibiotic. Within a day and a half, first of all, my stomach was just falling to pieces. I was in such pain, but I was depressed. Mm-hmm. And I was literally on a couch, my head in Arlene's lap, crying. I was that depressed. And it was at a point in time I was trying to get my private practice going, and it wasn't doing well, David. It really wasn't. And I thought, this is the source of my sadness and depression. Because of the stomach ache, I attributed it to the erythromycin. I went back to the doctor. I said, I can't take this anymore. She switched my medication. Within a day, the stomach ache went away. So too, the depression.
Interesting. So you got that whiplash of an extreme mood from the context of someone who wasn't getting extreme moods.
Yes. But again, this idea of feelings need to be anchored in reality. So I attached that extreme mood to my circumstance, not getting the private practice off the ground yet. But it was that next day that I realized I'm not depressed. I don't feel bad about where my private practice is. What the hell was I thinking? And the takeaway, the learning is that we people, I'm including myself, we do this all the time. We have a big feeling. Sometimes it's a small feeling. We don't necessarily know where it comes from, but we say it's because of. We attach that feeling, and then we act as if we act accordingly. It gets us into trouble.
I am not blessed like you being a cool cucumber. I have had. I mean, right now I'm at a journey with my mental health that things are a lot more even keel. My extreme moods at the high end, happy and low, are not unmanageable. But there's been a period in my life where they were extremely unmanageable. I don't believe you can necessarily control your mood. I mean, I think there's things you can do to take care of yourself so that tomorrow you have a better chance of having a better mood. But in that moment, I don't think you can control it. I don't think you can control your initial impulses. Like maybe you're sitting there on the couch with your head in your wife's lap, crying, thinking, I'll just close the practice. That'll end my problems. I don't think you can control those impulses, but I think you can control your reaction to those impulses. Suppose you've got a wife who's jealous of the husband a lot, and, his female coworker texts him something about work, and you see it on the phone. A reasonable thing. There's nothing phony going on, nothing fishy going on, I guess. That wife may not be able to control the impulse of suspecting that, he must be having an affair because his coworker texted him about an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes.
She has a choice with how she acts and how she treats that impulse.
And therein is, the heart of cognitive behavior therapy. We can have a feeling, we can have a big feeling, and we have to catch ourselves in the midst of that feeling. And then we have to ask ourselves consciously, intentionally, does this feeling necessarily make sense? Do the facts on the ground support what I'm feeling, or are my feelings, in a sense, running amok? And, many people where their feelings get them into trouble is that feeling runs amok and they run along with it. And as you started the top of the show, they take their feeling as a fact. We step back. We want to put thinking between feeling and doing. That's the heart of cognitive behavior therapy. Yesterday on my social media, Facebook, I wrote about borderline personality disorder. These are persons who frequently, if someone gets too close emotionally, they feel intimidated. If someone pulls away who should be emotionally close, they feel abandoned. There is this constant discomfort in their skin with their feelings. There's a therapy, it's called dialectical behavior therapy. And there's a number of components to dialectical behavior therapy, otherwise known as DBT, which isn't CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm talking dialectical behavior therapy. But in this therapy, the person learns, believe it or not, meditation and mindfulness. Meditation is the art of practicing being aware of where our feelings are. That's it. That's what meditation is. I sit down for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and I just kind of monitor myself, and at the same time, kind of lower the shoulders, relax my breathing, get calm, get comfortable. And I do that once or twice a day. That's meditation. Mindfulness is when we put that meditation into practice in real life. So I have this big feeling. I have to be aware of it. That's the practice of meditation. The mindfulness is catching it in real life and then calming myself. These are strategies that are taught in dialectical behavior therapy, amongst other strategies as well.
No, it's a very technical and psychology kind of method of what I'm talking about, which is not as technical, but this idea of, okay, I'm feeling very low today. I think last week or the week before, I was talking to some psychologist who did a research paper about how loneliness can be a feeling one has when they actually have community.
Yes.
Being socially isolated and that feeling of loneliness, they can be separate. And I'm someone who can be in a room with my friends and feel like I don't fit in and that I'm lonely. I can also be someone home alone with nothing to do and feel fine. And so just taking that moment to myself and saying, this is the mood of the moment, the mood of the day, and it will pass. I have felt this way before and then woken up the next day and not felt this way. It feels very extreme. I feel very lonely, very much uncomfortable in my own skin, very much like regretting that I left my house, and it'll pass. And it's also true for really kind of manic moods where I want to do a million things. The other day I did a live radio show last Friday. I filled in for a colleague. And then I had my show that night. And my girlfriend's like, you're working way too much. And I'm like, no, I got to do work. In between these two shows, I started doing extra work. I was like, and then I took a deep breath. I'm like, I feel really manic right now because I had a really exciting day. I'm going to crash around 9. Don't overwork, don't overcommit. Just do what you need to do. Take a deep breath. And then when the crash came at 9 p.m., I went to bed, and it's only through that experience of being in the place, taking that deep breath, knowing that the next day the mood changed, that I was able to, have that check. You call it cognitive behavioral therapy. I call it taking a deep breath, but it's the same thing. We are talking about feelings as facts. Don't treat them that way. I'm here with Gary Direnfeld, a very handsome, very talented social worker and therapist friend of mine. It is Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday. And we come back, we'll continue this discussion about not necessarily trusting all your extreme moods to the point where you behave based on them.
ABC Wednesdays, Shifting Gears is back.
He has arisen.
Tim Allen and Kat Dennings return in television's #1 new comedy.
What?
With a star-studded premiere including Jenna Elfman, Nancy Travis, and...
Hey, buddy!
A big home improvement reunion.
Welcome.
Oh, boy.
That guy's a tool.
Shifting Gears, new Wednesdays, 8/7 Central on ABC, and stream on Hulu.
The human algorithm, where emotional inputs create unexpected outputs. The Last Show with David Cooper.
And we are back. It is Wednesday night, which means it's broadcasting's only mental health specific content intended for a Wednesday, intended for a Thursday that airs on a Wednesday. I can't even get it right. It's Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday. Gary Direnfeld is here. We are talking about feelings as facts. Should you treat every extreme mood that you have as something to behave directly on? The answer, no, but it's a little more complicated than that. Gary, welcome back.
I want to tell you a story. This person asks the rabbi, what's the difference between Christianity and Judaism?
I've heard this one. Is this where the priest, the rabbi, and the imam all walk into a bar, or is this different?
This one's different.
All right.
This one's different. So the rabbi says, and by the way, I'm not presenting myself as a theologian here, so I could get this wrong. But here's the story. I feel like I needed that disclaimer. Anyways, so the rabbi says, in Christianity, you are judged by your feelings. You are judged by your thoughts, improper feelings. Yet, in Judaism, we are not. We're judged by our behavior. And the rabbi explained, just as you did, actually, David, in the first segment, that feelings can be so fast, thoughts so fast, so fleeting, that in truth we can't control them. They come, they go. However, behavior is always a choice. And that's why the rabbi said that in Judaism, we're not going to hold you accountable for what you're feeling or thinking, but we, or the Lord, will hold you accountable for what you do. And, again, it's built into dialectical behavior therapy. It's built into cognitive behavior therapy. We're always trying to manage our behavior. Mm-hmm. Your example, again, before the break, of being in a somewhat manic state, not clinically manic, but you were excited, you were trying to do a lot, and you were realizing that you could overdo it and a crash would come. That is mindfulness in action, that you had the wherewithal to look at your behavior in the moment, live as it was occurring. You were able to make a reasonable prediction based on your observable behavior, so that when that prediction came true, you were no longer overwhelmed by it. You had a strategy in place. You went to bed.
Yeah. And I crashed and I felt terrible. And I replayed the whole day in my mind. I'm like, oh, everything went bad. I fixated on mistakes, but I took a deep breath in the low mood and thought, this will pass too.
So there's a Jewish expression, tsuris mitsuris. That means problems on top of... I don't know where all this Jewish is coming from today.
I'm Gary. I got tsuris mitsuris with the rabbi. Oigavalt.
Tsuris mitsuris means problems on top of problems. So some people kind of thought build. Oh my goodness, today's going to be a bad day. Oh, it's going to be a bad day because this is going to go wrong. And that's tsuris mitsuris. I'm adding problems on top of my problems. And heck, some problems are real. That tsuris is real. But then we layer on more tsuris. That's Tsurus, mit, tsurus. Problems on top of problems. The challenge is, even if something goes wrong, you have a bad day, you have a big feeling that is uncomfortable, don't thought build. Don't add tsurus, mit, tsurus. Don't act out on that behavior. Take that pause that refreshes. Lower your shoulder. As we're talking, we're on video talking with each other, I can see where my shoulders are. And for me, I'm forever aware of the position of my shoulders. And when they go up, I know I'm getting excited about something, which could be good or it may not be good. I lower my shoulders. And so we want to stave off the tsurus, mit, tsurus. Life being life, we're all going to have problems. We will. Right? I'm not wishing that on you. That's a fact. However, it always comes back to how we manage them and realizing that sometimes our feelings, we get it wrong. Mm-hmm. We get it, something, you may say something to me that triggers me and I think, oh, you dastardly David Cooper, how dare you say that to me? And then wait a minute. I misheard David Cooper. That was actually a compliment.
Moving along a little bit here, what do we do when a friend has very mood-based behavior? Like, so when we catch them when they're feeling great, everything's a yes, they're the best person to be around, and we catch them in a low mood, they're mean, and they're very kind of like unbalanced with their emotions, but then the behavior matches those emotions. Like, what if it's a friend? What if it's a parent? What if it's a sibling? What if it's a spouse?
We have kids growing up in households where the mood of the day reigns and determines behavior. Mm-hmm. And that's where you get the phrase walking on eggshells, because somebody's in a bad mood. Look out, I'm walking on eggshells. Don't poke the bear. So depending on who that is with, your ability to reflect on the situation and recognize it for what it is, your capacity to bring that to another person's attention, the capacity of that person to reflect on that kind of feedback. All of this is going to determine what we do with that. With some people, if they approach us in a bad mood, it's like, you know what? I just want to get out of Dodge. I'm going to extricate myself. With other persons, I may comment and say, I've noticed something. I'm curious. You seem to be in a foul mood. Did somebody, piss in your cornflakes this morning? What's going on? And did you know that you're exuding it? Right? So we can use empathy and curiosity to bring to someone else's attention their mood and the impact. But again, depends on the relationship, depends on that person. And it also depends on yourself to present that, not from a place of blaming, guilting, or shaming, but a place of wonder and curiosity and concern.
I know I said this before the break, but I feel like I end up saying this to friends, sometimes my girlfriend Miranda, my parents. I've said this to them a million times. I don't know how true this is, but I deeply believe it. I believe you can control your mood. Sorry, let me restate that. I don't believe you can control your mood. Yeah. I don't believe you can control your impulses, but I do believe you can control how you act and what you do with those moods and those impulses. And I know that's the basis for cognitive behavioral therapy. We just talked about all that, but I believe that, and there are those that don't believe that, and I don't know how you can come to that conclusion, but I find myself saying that a lot, and I just feel like that's an important point to make in this conversation.
Totally. And David, that's what makes us human beings, that we have this capacity, that we don't need to act just on the basis of a feeling, that we can self-reflect. The other animals don't do that. This is what makes us uniquely human. And for some, it is a stretch, though. For some, it is difficult. And there are strategies to learn that as a basic skill.
What are some of them quickly? Just mindfulness, breathing, telling yourself it'll pass, knowing that you felt this way before and then the next day you didn't, like just kind of taking stock of when things are normal.
Yes, those are the lists. The other thing I tell people is, write yourself a note, a reminder. Pin it on the steering wheel of your car so it's the last thing you see before you go in the house. Do not bring my mood into the house, just like you would leave your muddy shoes at the doorstep. Literally, we can do that with the mood, but you have to be mindful about it.
Well, Gary, it is a great joy having you on the show. I am in a great mood because I'm around you, but I won't act on it. Instead, I'll let you go to the commercial break, which is what I'm supposed to do. Gary, thank you so much for being here.
Great to be with you.
Therapy Thursdays on a Wednesday. Gary Direnfeld is an expert in family and marital therapy.
Doug. Limu and I always tell you to customize your car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. But now, we want you to feel it. Cue the emu music, Limu.
Save yourself money today. Increase your wealth. Customize and save, we say.
That may have been too much feeling.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.